Okay, talking about language, we use language to communicate with others. But not only we use language to communicate with others, sometimes we use language to communicate with ourselves. So people do not only communicate with others through language, but they also communicate to them. That mean they use the language to communicate to themselves. For example, they talking to themselves, they daydreaming, they use sign language. All those are kind of communications or using language either verbally or non-verbally through with others or without others. So daydreamings can be in language also, different language on own language. And people use language as a creative process in their thinking. For example, deaf people, do you think that deaf people didn't have language? This deaf people also invent their own sign language when nobody uses when nobody use sign language. Long time ago, deaf people, in order to communicate with the others, they come up with a sign language in order to communicate with others. So sign language is considered as a language, also part of the non-verbal language. For example, using gesture. Even though we have language, but all those gesture and then physical facial expressions and movements and so on, so that's also considered as part of language. So language, when we talk about language in terms of physiology, language located at the Broca area, as you can see here, Broca area here at the frontal lobe. So this is the frontal lobe located at the Broca area, the language and language itself. Speech, some people they have language, they understand language, they could communicate, but because of the problem with the speech, maybe the speech is not clear. Maybe some people they have very good line of speaking. Clearly they could speak. So speech is located at the Wernicke area in the temporal cortex. So speech is referring to the smooth, or to the how we speak. I mean, there's no hiccup here and there. It's very smooth. So speech actually is different from language. Language is we use language to communicate. Speech is in terms of whether we could speak the language like without interruptions. That means there's no hiccup here and there. So some people they have problem because of the accidents or because of the genetic. They have problems that of Wernicke area. This Wernicke area are affected. This Wernicke area is affected by maybe through maybe the person happen or in the accidents that affect this area, so they cannot be able to speak like a normal people. That means the way they arrange the words actually is not common, is not normal. So they may have problems regarding the speech. So speech is a different as language. So speech is located at the Wernicke area. So this part. So impairments of language and speech relates to the damage at the frontal lobes and at the temporal lobes. So according to the behaviorist, language is learned through reinforcement. Learn through reinforcement. For example, when you were a child, if you say something that is incorrect, your parent will say it's not true, or may correct you at that moment or instantly. If you say something correct, and then your parents will praise you, for example, good jobs, and then oh, good girl, or good saying those things actually encourage us, considered as a one way of reinforcement, encouragement. So when we receive encouragement or reinforcement, we tend to repeat that kind of behavior. When we receive negative reinforcement, we tend to not repeat. We tend to avoid repeating doing that behavior that been negatively reinforced. So Noam Chomsky said language has an innate biological basis. That means language has genetic biological basis. That means we've been born with that kind of basis. Influenced by this, Noam Chomsky is influenced by psycholinguistics. Psycholinguistics is a psychological study of language. Psycholinguistics study a language based on two things: syntax and semantic. So syntax relate to the rules related to combining words to sentence. So maybe when we were a child, how to start speak, we have problem to combine words with other words to form a sentence. So when we are growing up, after we learn, after we exposed to spoken language, listen to our parents, listen to TV, to model and so on, then we adopt some of their word, their syntax. So syntax is related to how we combine words with other words to form a sentence. Semantics is on the other hand, is related to the meaning of the words and the sentence. So if you combine word with the words, but word with the word have no meanings, so your sentence become meaningless. So it is important the syntax and the semantic should be correct. So combining words with words must have some meaning. If without meaning, it's meaningless. It's like you speak different language that people do not understand. So syntax and semantics, that's the focus of psycholinguistics. So language, meaningful conversations can be influenced by four aspects. Quantity is regarding the amount of the information needed. Quality, the truth of the informations. Manner, the clarity, the avoidance of both ambiguity, unclear or obscure statements. So if let's say people speak with the clear sentences, with a clear statement, without any ambiguous words or ambiguous meaning, then it says is part under the manner. And relations, that means the relevance of the meaning of the sentence to what you want to speak. I mean, to whatever you want to say, for example, relevance. So moving to intelligence, because language also relate to intelligence. Intelligence is very important. So understanding varies according to the approaches, according to the models and method that we use to investigate something. So the intelligence is defined as being a functional concept. For example, ability to learn, to think logically or abstractly, or to solve problems. So different cultural interpretations. There are some different cultural interpretations of what the intelligence is, or what is the definitions, the meaning of intelligence. There are some difference in terms of cultural interpretations, in terms of the meanings of intelligence. So general agreements to the importance of general intelligence indicate that general agreement on the intelligence indicates on the importance of life learning and intelligence. So we cannot just stop. For example, if let's say I finish my PhD, so it does not mean that I finish learning. Learning is a lifelong journey. Even though you have PhD, even though you have all the necessary qualification, you still need to learn, because there always be something new every day, every second. So learning is a lifelong learning. It's a lifelong continuous learning. And also this will indicate that intelligence also is part of the lifelong learning. So it goes beyond conventional intelligence of what can be established through IQ. So conventional intelligence is maybe can be established through IQ, but the lifelong learning and intelligence is going beyond than just IQ testing. So the most influential historical views on the current thinking regarding intelligence, for example, Galton said intelligence is due to the genetic influence. If your genetic parents or great grandparents, if they are intelligent, then you tend to be intelligent as well, according to Galton, because intelligence is genetically inherited. And they use psychophysical psychophysical methods, and they providing basis for investigating the intelligence, indicate that intelligence can be measured and different people have different level of intelligence. So they come up with this kind of measurement, IQ test, and because they said intelligence can be measured, then each of us may have different level of intelligence. So first, actually, there are many people introduce IQ test, but the most popular one is by Binet. Binet said that intelligence is malleable, can be improved. That means if your intelligence now is below the average or average, you may have a tendency or chance to improve your intelligence, maybe by reading, by improving, by learning, improving your current state of knowledge, and so on. So first, Binet come with the IQ test for children. Binet joined with Stanford to come up with this measurement, Stanford Binet Intelligence Scale. So this scale is an indication that child development is in comparison to other children of the same age. So this Stanford Binet Intelligence, this measurement is to found out where the measurement is actually to measure the IQ intelligence of the children in comparison with the majority of children of the same age. Let's say, for example, the IQ of majority of people of children of the age of 10 years old, and then the majority, they got the measurement for the majority of children of 10 years old. They come up with, for example, 100% average. For the average for the average IQ for the 10 years old children is, for example, hundreds. So they then measure each of the individual children of the age 10 years old. So each of these 10-year-old children or child, if he or she get more than 100, that means their intelligence is above average. If they pick up randomly from the population's 10 years old children, and then they test them IQ test on these children, and if their IQ test is below than 100, that means their IQ test is below than average. So here they come up with the they obtain by ratio of mental age. That means mental age may be through some questions that can be answered by the majority of the age. For example, chronological age is referring to the age that they were born. So if they were born 10 years ago, that means now they are 10 years old. So mental age, if let's say the majority of the children at the age of 10 could answer the questions, majority of them could answer the question. That means majority should get 100% average of the answer for the test, for the questions. But let's say there is one or two could answer more than the average of people of this age could answer. That means it's belong to mental age higher than 10 years old. So if mental age, that means those who be able to answer the questions are higher than those who are 10 years old mental age or average of 10 years old. So that's considered above the average of IQ of that age. So chronological age is the age is referring to the age that's based on the date of when they were born. So mental age is based on the test, based on the questions. So here is mentioned 10 is the answer. For example, if they do the test, they could get 10%. If they could get 10s, and then they are 10 years old. 10 over 10 times 100, so 100%. So 100% is the average of 10 years old. If they get higher, for example, if they did the test, they got these children got maybe few of these children of the 10 years old got 14, and their age is 10 years old. times 100 because we want to change into percentage. So if the average result is 140, that means it's above average. So these children is considered high in IQ because the IQ test is above 100. That's 100 is the average.